Go stand in front of your pantry and open it up. Look at all that. Half a bag of something, 3 kinds of vinegar, a box of rice mix, a jar of some sauce you bought for one recipe 2 years ago. 60 things in there. And you're standing there thinking, there's nothing in this house to eat. That's not a food problem, that's a stocking problem. You've been buying ingredients for specific meals instead of stocking a pantry that makes any meal. And there's a difference. And the difference is about $200 a month. Here's what I know after a lot of years feeding people on very little. There are about 20 foods that actually earn their shelf space. 20. They're cheap, they keep, and they combine with each other into real dinners without you having to plan a thing. Everything else in that store is those 20 foods, cooked for you and marked up. So we're counting down 20. Number 1 is the cheapest food in the building and the one I'd never let run out. Number 20, white vinegar. The plain gallon jug, $3 or under. This is a food, not just a cleaner, and people forget that. It's what makes a pickle a pickle. It's what you splash in a pot of beans that taste flat and suddenly they taste like something. Cheap cut of meat sitting in the fridge? A soak in vinegar and water overnight makes it a lot friendlier to chew. And it doesn't go bad. Ever. It can't. Nothing that spoils food can live in it. Buy the gallon, not the little bottle with the fancy label. It's the same stuff. Number 19. Baking soda. $1 a box. It's your leavening. It's your scouring powder. It's what you throw a pinch of into a pot of dried beans in hard water to help them soften. And if you run out of baking powder halfway through a batch of biscuits, which I have done on a Sunday, with company coming, you make your own. 2 spoons of cream of tartar, 1 spoon of baking soda. That's all baking powder ever was. They just put it in a can for you and charged you for the can. Number 18, cornmeal. 5 pounds runs you $3 or $4, and it is one of the most useful bags in my house. Cornbread in 25 minutes with nothing but cornmeal, an egg, and some milk. Fried mush for breakfast, which is cornmeal cooked like porridge, poured in a loaf pan overnight, sliced and fried in the morning. That fed farm families for 200 years, and it costs about 12 cents a serving. And it's my breading for anything: fish, chicken, green tomatoes. You don't need a box of breading mix. That's cornmeal with salt in it. While you're on that aisle, grab a bag of popcorn kernels too. $1. Weeks of snacks. There's nothing in that whole snack aisle that comes close. Number 17, rolled oats. The big cardboard drum. Not the little paper packets. Those are oats, sugar, and dust. And you're paying about 6 times as much for the privilege of tearing open a packet. Oats are breakfast, sure. But oats are also what stretches a pound of hamburger into a meatloaf that feeds 6. A half cup of oats in the meat, nobody's ever known the difference, and that's $1 back in your pocket every time. Run them through a blender and you've got oat flour for pancakes. It's the cheapest breakfast in America, and it has been for 100 years. By the way, the kind of thing I just told you about the oats, I've got a whole book of them. Every method I use to run this house for less, written down in one place. It's on my website, the link's right below this video. Go grab it if you want it. I won't bring it up again. Number 16, canned tomatoes. Whole ones, not diced. Diced tomatoes have something added to them, so they hold their shape, which means they never really break down into a sauce. Whole ones fall apart the way you want. You crush them with your hand in the pot. 2 cans and an onion is pasta sauce. Add beans, it's chili. Add rice and water, it's soup. I keep 8 cans at all times, and I've never once regretted the shelf space. Number 15, tomato paste, the little can. This one's small, but it does more per penny than almost anything else in here. A spoonful of it browned in the pan before you add liquid gives a soup or a stew that deep, cooked all-day taste when it's actually been 40 minutes. And here's what to do with the rest of the can, because everybody wastes it. Spoon it out in blobs on a plate. Freeze the plate. Drop the frozen blobs in a bag. Now you've got a spoonful whenever you want one, and you've thrown away nothing. Number 14, onions. Not glamorous. I don't care. Onions are the floor that nearly every good dinner is built on. They cost under $1 a pound, and in a cool, dark spot with air around them, they'll hold for 2 or 3 months. Not in a plastic bag, they sweat and rot. A basket or an old mesh sack hung up. I buy them in the big bag, and I've never had one go to waste. Number 13, potatoes. Same aisle, same idea, and the cheapest full belly money buys. 10 pounds for $4 or $5, and that's a week of side dishes or 3 big pots of soup. Cool, dark, And here's the part people get wrong. Keep them away from your onions. Store them together and they'll spoil each other twice as fast. Onions give off something potatoes don't like. 2 different corners of the room, and they'll both last months. Number 12, peanut butter. Protein that doesn't need a refrigerator, doesn't need cooking, and doesn't spoil for the better part of a year. That matters more than people think. When the power's out, or it's 9 at night and somebody didn't eat, or the paycheck's 4 days away, peanut butter is dinner and nobody's hurt by it. It also makes a sauce for noodles that kids inhale: peanut butter, soy sauce, a little vinegar, hot water till it's loose. Number 11, powdered milk. I know, nobody wants to drink it, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's delicious, because it isn't. But you don't buy it for drinking. You buy it for baking, for gravy, for soup, for cornbread, for every recipe that calls for a cup of milk when there's no milk in the house. That's where the fresh gallon gets used up and wasted. A box of powdered sits in the cupboard for years, and costs less per quart than fresh. It's the difference between making the biscuits and not making the biscuits. All right, we're halfway. Add up what we've bought so far, and it's under $30. And every single thing on that list keeps for months or longer. From here on, it gets better. Because the back half is where the real money is. This is where you stop buying dinner and start making it. And number 1 is the cheapest protein sold in any grocery store in this country, by a mile. Quick thing while we're here, since it explains half this list. Ever wonder why a bag of white rice sits in the cupboard for 5 years and a bag of brown rice goes bitter and waxy on you in 6 months? It's the oil. Whole grains still have the germ on them, and the germ has oil in it, and oil goes rancid. That's all rancid means: the oil's gone off. Strip the germ out, and there's nothing left to spoil. Same reason white flour lasts a year and whole wheat flour turns on you by month 4. It's not that one's better, it's that one has oil in it and one doesn't. Buy your whole grains small and your white grains big. Number 10, bouillon. And this is the one that'll save you the most on a per item basis. Because look at what you're doing now. You're buying cartons of broth. A carton of broth is water with a little salt and flavor in it, and you are paying $3 to have water shipped across the country in a box. A jar of bouillon makes gallons of the same thing for pennies. Get the paste kind in the jar if you can. It tastes better than the cubes. And better still, keep a bag in your freezer: onion ends, carrot tops, celery bottoms, every chicken bone. When it's full, cover it with water, simmer it 2 hours, strain it. Real stock, free, out of garbage. I haven't paid for broth in 15 years. Number 9, fat. Cooking oil, lard, whatever you use. Buy it in the big container. This is a thing people cheap out on and shouldn't, because fat is what makes cheap food taste rich. Potatoes boiled in water are sad. Potatoes fried in fat are dinner people ask for. A pound of lard costs less than a stick of butter and makes the flakiest pie crust and biscuit you'll ever put on a table. That's not opinion, that's just what fat does. Keep it cool and dark because, same as we said, oil is the thing that goes off. Number 8, sugar. Plain white, in the big bag. It never spoils. Not in the way food spoils. Nothing can grow in it. If it goes hard as a brick, that's just water leaving, and you put a slice of bread in the container overnight and it comes back soft. Sugar's not only for sweets, it's what makes jam keep. It's a pinch in a tomato sauce that's gone too sharp. It's how people put up fruit for winter for hundreds of years before anybody had a freezer. Number 7, honey. A jar of honey does not go bad. They've dug up pots of it in Egyptian tombs, thousands of years old, and it was still honey. There's almost no water in it, so nothing can live in it. And if it crystallizes, it's not ruined. Set the jar in a bowl of warm water and it comes right back. I use it where I'd use sugar when I want the flavor. In tea, on biscuits, in a pan sauce for pork. Buy it local if you can. It's the one thing on this list I'll tell you to spend a little more on. Number 6, canned fish. Tuna, salmon, sardines, whatever's cheapest that week. This is protein that costs $1 or $2, sits on a shelf for years, and needs no cooking at all. Salmon patties with an egg and some cracker crumbs feed a family for $4. And here's the thing, nobody tells you the canned salmon with the bones in it is cheaper than the fancy kind. And those little bones mash right up and disappear. My grandmother would have laughed at anybody paying extra to have the bones taken out. Number 5, pasta. $1 a pound, keeps for years, cooks in 10 minutes. That's the whole argument. On the night when everything's gone sideways and there's no plan and everybody's hungry and cross, pasta is what stands between you and a drive-through window that'll take $30 off you. Pasta, a can of tomatoes, an onion, some oil. 20 minutes, under $2, feeds 4. That meal has saved me more money than any coupon I ever cut. Number 4, rice. White rice, in the biggest bag they sell. It will sit in your cupboard for years and not care. It stretches everything a pound of meat over rice feeds twice. What a pound of meat feeds by itself. It turns leftovers into a second dinner. And it costs somewhere around 10 cents a serving, which is less than any other filling thing in that store. Keep it in a hard container with a lid, not the paper sack. Bugs can chew through paper. They can't chew through a bucket. Number 3, salt. The plain box, under $1, and it's the oldest one on this list by thousands of years. Salt doesn't preserve food by magic. It pulls the water out, and the things that spoil food can't live without water. That's how people kept meat through winter before anybody had a refrigerator, and it still works, and it costs nothing. It's also the difference between food that tastes like food and food that tastes like nothing. Most home cooking that comes out flat isn't missing a fancy ingredient. It's missing salt. Buy the cheap box. There's no such thing as fancy salt doing a better job on a pot of beans. Number 2, flour, all-purpose, 5 pounds, $2 or $3. Now think about what's actually in that bag. Bread, biscuits, pancakes, noodles, dumplings, gravy, pie crust. Every one of those things is flour plus something you already own, and every one of those things is sold to you in a box, ready-made, for 6 times the price. A box of pancake mix is flour, a little baking powder, a little sugar, and a little salt. You have all 4. You are paying $4 for somebody to stir them together. Keep your flour cool and in a sealed container, and it'll hold a good year. And number 1, dried beans. A pound bag, $1 and change, and it is the cheapest protein sold in any grocery store in America. Nothing else is close. That one bag makes about 13 servings. Do the math on that. 10 cents a serving for something that actually fills a person up and keeps them full. Canned beans cost you 3 or 4 times as much, and what you're paying for is water and a can. They're not hard. Everybody thinks they're hard. You put them in a bowl of water before you go to bed. In the morning, you pour that water off, cover them fresh, add an onion and a little fat and some salt, and let them go easy on the back burner for an hour and a half while you do other things. That's it. That's the entire skill. Beans and cornbread fed this whole country through every hard time it ever had, and it's still under $2 for a table full of people. So why does nobody tell you this? Follow the money. It's not hard to see. There is no profit in flour. There's no profit in a bag of beans or a box of salt. The markup on a 5-pound sack of flour is pennies, and everyone in that building knows it. But take that same flour, add water and salt, bake it, wrap it in plastic, and put a picture of a farmhouse on it. Now it's $4 and they keep 3. Take the beans, cook them, put them in a can, 4 times the price. Take the broth, which is water, and put it in a carton, $3 for water. That's the whole business. Every aisle in the middle of that store is these 20 foods, assembled for you, sold back to you at 10 times. And the assembling is not hard. It's 20 minutes in a pot. There's a second piece to it too. A pantry like this makes you calm, and a calm shopper is a bad customer. When there's rice and beans and flour and oil in the house, you don't panic at 5 o'clock. You don't run out for something. You don't stand in the freezer aisle at 6:30 deciding that $11 for a bag of frozen dinner is reasonable because you're tired. Every dollar that industry makes, it makes off a person standing in a kitchen at the end of a long day with nothing in the cupboard. They're not selling you food. They're selling you a way out of that moment. Stock these 20 and that moment never comes. So here's what I want you to do this week. Don't go buy all 20. Go stand in front of that pantry again and count how many you already have. Most of you are going to find 12 or 14 sitting right there. Then pick up the ones you're missing, a few at a time, on trips you were making anyway. It's maybe $60 all in, and most of it lasts a year or better. And then tell me down in the comments what's your 21st. Because I know some of you have one I left off. Somebody's going to say lentils, somebody's going to say a jar of molasses, and somebody's grandmother had one I've never heard of, and those are the ones I want. I read every one of these, and I steal the good ones. Next time, I'm going to show you how to keep all this from going bad on you, how to store flour and cornmeal and rice so you never open a bag and find bugs in it again, using stuff you already have in the house. Because there's no sense stocking a pantry you're going to end up throwing out. Until then, quit buying dinner. Buy ingredients. It's cheaper, and it tastes better. And there's nobody standing between you and your own supper.